Org.
Welcome back to The Big Picture. I'm Gerard McClendon, your host, joined by my co-host Theodore McClendon from McClendonReport.com. Adding the commentary on today's discussion, we're talking about technology.
Yes, indeed.
Let's move forward. Let's talk about Kaizen. I want you to bring Joel Barker in today. I want you to bring Buckminster Fuller in the mix today. Mark McCormick. We're going to try to fill this thing up in the last segment here.
Let me say this as a preface, okay? As I cough here. I hope someone finds the cure to the common cold.
Yes.
Okay, in the incubator.
Yes.
Just a sidebar, but go ahead. Let's continue.
I want to start with an anecdote about a writer by the name of Max Dupree. Max Dupree is the author of the book Leadership as an Art and Leadership Jazz.
Okay.
He mentions this portion in the book where he says that the Germans created a drill bit that was the size of a human hair. Now imagine a drill bit that small, the size of a human hair. So what they did was, after the Germans created it, they sent the drill bit to the United States, to Japan, and to Russia. Okay. Now, after they were trying to get a response. What do you other countries think about this drill bit that is the size of a human hair?
Okay.
So the Russians ignored it. They never replied. Okay. The United States said, how much do you want for it? They're trying to figure out how much it's worth.
Okay.
Guess what the Japanese did?
What they do?
The Japanese took the drill bit that the Germans sent to them and they attached a note to it. They attached a note. And they said, we've put an addendum onto your wonderful device. So they sent the drill bit back. The drill bit, the size of a hair, had a hole in it that the Japanese put in it. So see, now, go with me here. I'm going to leave you alone. Go with it. What does that say about Kaizen?
It's like they didn't stop there. They elevated the game. Okay? They took it to its next level.
Right.
Next level.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
That's right. And that's where technology has to go. That's where the arts have to go as well.
Yes.
And I think, I really have to be an advocate of the Purdue University Technology Center. I've been to West Lafayette and I've seen some of the product that has come out of there. I've seen the wonderful nurturing environment that they're giving thinkers there. And anyone who's against the Purdue initiative here in Northwest Indiana, I've got a problem with you. A serious problem.
Yes.
Even those that are playing this little North County, South County thing. Granted, it's an issue, but it is not the most important issue.
Right.
We need to push the envelope here.
Let me help you out with this. When we talk about location, and we'll try to put it to rest. But on the Starship Enterprise, Sulu's from Japan, right? Uhuru's from Africa, even though she's probably from Ohio, but okay, to be politically correct, they put her from Africa. Kirk is from Midwest somewhere. But they're traveling galaxies in space.
That's right.
So location is immaterial. They brought the best minds to where they needed to be, and that's the Enterprise. Bring the best minds to South County, wherever they come from.
You got to think outside of the box sometimes, and going back to fax machines and the e-bookman that you can download books to, and the concept of email even.
Yes.
Where I can, instead of writing a letter physically on stationery, putting it in an envelope, putting a stamp on it and sending it to a good friend Tony or a good friend Jason, one-to-one, I can write one letter in an email.
Yes.
Word document.
Yes.
And I can send that email to 500 people, 5,000 people, 5 million people. And so
I'll quote the rock group Rush here. Rush, Geddy Lee, Neil Peart, and Alex Lifeson. Net boy, net girl. Put your impulse around the world. Put your message in a modem and float it upon the cyber sea.
The big picture moment. You know what? I got a nickname for you today.
What's that?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm calling my biological brother, Theodore McClendon. I'm calling you PDF man today.
Oh, PDF
You're
man.
PDF, you're Adobe Acrobat man today. That's big. That's big what Rush is saying there.
Absolutely.
Their lyrics have always been about 10 years ahead of other rock groups.
Right. And for the uninitiated, Rush is a progressive rock group who are absolute virtuosos on their instruments. They're called a power trio. It's only 3 of them. They play a progressive form of rock and roll music that is beyond. The drummer is their lyricist, and he's a scientist and a philosopher.
And Geddy Lee, I think that guy's an alien.
One of the finest musicians on earth.
I mean, that guy's playing bass guitar. He's playing Taurus bass pedals, and he's playing synthesizer. I mean, what an amazing guy.
He's selling popcorn in the concession stand.
As we digress.
Okay.
Back to technology.
All right.
Which we never fell off the subject. We got to advocate this initiative. We have to.
Yes.
Because Northwest Indiana is still stuck in the mindset of industrialization.
Right.
We're stuck.
We're just, just outside of the agrarian age or something.
It's time
into the industrial age with not even an inkling of what the information age has in store.
We're still, we're wondering why there's brain drain, but parents are still telling their children, go to college and get a job. Whatever happened to go to college and actually do some research? Go to college and get some knowledge and wisdom. Go to college and use the university system as it's supposed to be used to become a free thinker. Go to college and become an entrepreneur. Whatever happened to that concept? Because do we not get jobs by other entrepreneurs? Why not be one?
Right.
And the incubator is trying to push that envelope.
Right. The education system really needs to start pushing that envelope too. Make thinkers of your students, not automatons.
Robots.
Exactly.
Robots. Keep going, because you got some serious thoughts about this thing, because off the set, you're very adamant about opponents on this project.
Right. Once again, it's to benefit the advancement of knowledge among the members, the inhabitants of planet Earth. See, so there's a bigger picture. You talk about the big picture.
Right.
The big picture is let's advance, okay, as a species. Then certainly let's advance as a region, because we are in a more primitive age in Northwest Indiana. Okay, let's advance.
Right.
And so anything that gets in the way, anything that impedes advancement, is an impediment to the advancement of all the individuals in the region. And I'm in favor of let's move forward. Let's try to transform the economy. That's what's going to have to happen.
Right.
Transformation of the economy, transformation of the technology, the tried and true, the status quo demonstratively does not work anymore. So you have to do something.
Yeah.
Once again, and I'm going to speak, I'm going to say some complimentary words to Congressman Visclosky. You viewers of the show know that I'm on record as saying that I'm a very apolitical person. In fact, I'm very anti-political because of the backroom deals, the lobbying, the special interest groups, the big money politician. I abhor all of those things. But when a politician gets it right, I also give him or her credit. Visclosky has this thing right. He constantly hears people say, we need jobs. He constantly hears the steel mills, get rid of foreign steel. He hears that all the time. We need an airport. He hears these things. And for him to come on and act on this one, that's a commendable thing for that politician, for Pete Visclosky.
Yeah, and with technology brings higher paying jobs.
Right.
We got to get that rhetoric out.
Yes.
It's a wonderful entity. We got Don Gentry, who's the vice provost for engagement at Purdue University. He's going to be the fiscal agent responsible for this.
Yes.
They've done
forward-looking gentleman, I might add.
That's right. They've done an amazing job in West Lafayette. For any of our viewers who have not visited the West Lafayette campus and the incubator down there, please do so. Please do that so you can see what's going to be on the horizon here in Northwest Indiana.
Absolutely. The operative word being what's on the horizon. See, not what's been done. What's next? And that's what this incubator's about, Gerard.
Yeah.
What's next?
What does technology mean to you?
Well, I like to take it back, from an anthropological standpoint. What did the wheel mean? Okay? What did the spear mean? Okay? The knife.
Fire.
What did fire mean? Okay? What did the cart mean? What did the horse mean? Okay? What did internal combustion mean?
Right.
Okay? What did free flying flight mean or gliding mean? What did what did flight mean from the propeller-driven aircraft? What did the jet-propelled aircraft? What did you see what I mean?
Right, right.
What did running clean water mean?
Okay.
You see?
So what does it mean?
It means that it enhances the lifestyle of the human being, giving him or her more leisure time to think and to contemplate a better life for the citizens, the inhabitants of planet Earth.
So it is anthropological, because you know what? You said something crucial in there. Second big picture moment of the day. It seems as if this kind of stuff has complicated lives. You just said it's supposed to give us more leisure. But is it the technology that complicates, or is it man's lost way anthropologically that makes us have less time?
Man's lost way.
Yeah.
These things in and of themselves are no respecters of persons, and they have no volition in and of themselves. They are simply tools. The fact that someone will be rude in a restaurant and speak at full voice on this communication device is a human problem.
Okay.
It's not a technology problem.
Okay. So technology and artists and scientists, they're fulfilling their responsibility in mankind.
Absolutely.
But it's up to mankind to use these materials in a way that's going to benefit individuals as well as the collective.
And I spoke on that too. We need to become more spiritually advanced, more intellectually advanced, along with the technology, so that it can be commensurate. They can be commensurate with one another. That you can fly to the moon or fly to the outer reaches of the solar system. That in and of itself doesn't make you a superior creature. But what would is if you could enhance that with a more full humanity.
To quote Chris Parker, KRS-One, the great hip-hop artist and rapper.
The edutainer.
Right. He said knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everyone. But he also mentioned that we have not become a more civilized society.
Right.
We've become a more technologized society.
Right.
But we can use technology to add to civilization.
Exactly.
That's the anthropological missing link, if you will, that we're having trouble with.
Right. There was an astronaut on the Discovery Channel recently, a gentleman that had been at the space station for some months. They were talking about osteoporosis and the degradation of the skeleton once you're in space for a prolonged period of time. But he also waxed philosophic on the space program in general.
Okay.
Because I've long complained that it's too mechanical. They're always concerned about the individual tasks that the individual astronauts have. Well, he's going to attach the Hubble satellite, or now he's got a giant wrench that he's going to, unscrew the giant bolt on the rocker arm, or what have you.
Right.
That kind of mechanical construct mindset. What is needed, and this astronaut said it. He says the best astronaut will be one who can think. His job might be just to contemplate when he goes to space.
Right.
And that's kind of what we need, that type of thinker at the incubator.
Right.
Okay. They might need Theo the thinker.
Yeah. This is big. We're seeing technology do leaps and bounds each day, and we're seeing the stock market crash each day.
Yes.
We're seeing some crazy, levels of impropriety in society.
Yes, we are.
Right now. And so we've got to come to some sort of balance.
That's your latest rap, impropriety in society.
There we go. We've got to start moving forward, with the bent of mankind. And I think Purdue University is definitely trying to do that. Any closing comments? We're 30 seconds and we're out of here.
Sure. I'm a proud alumnus of Purdue University. Went to the Calumet campus, and I think that Purdue in general is getting it right with this incubator. I think my hat is off to the visionaries that are trying to make this thing happen. And if McClendon Report can help in any way, we'll be glad to help the Purdue incubator.
Yeah.
My brother Gerard and myself.
Yeah. Hey, I want to thank you, for having you on the Big Picture today. Of course, I'm a former professor at Purdue University.
Indeed.
The North Central campus in Westville, as well as the Calumet campus. And, you have my support as well from the McClendonReport.com and the Big Picture. We want to thank you all for joining us on a journey to the Purdue University Center's incubator that will be in Maryville, Indiana. And we thank you all for watching the Big Picture. Have a good evening.
Hello once again, and welcome to The Big Picture, the show that gives you news, views, and controversial commentary on the issues of the day. I'm your host for the day, Theodore McClendon, Theo the Thinker from McClendonReport.com, taking my brother's place here in the host chair, while we have another gentleman over in my thinking chair, which we're going to get to in a moment. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship today, a subject that is sorely needed. We need to discuss it. We need to embrace it. We need to envelop entrepreneurship in the region. And what better person to talk about entrepreneurship than a first-class entrepreneur in the city of Hammond, Indiana, a friend of my brother's, a colleague of his. He went to high school with him, Hammond High School, back in the 80s. This gentleman is someone you need to know. He's a who's who of the region, Mr. Jonathan Hogue. Welcome to the show, Jonathan.
Thank you, Theo.
Wonderful. You know, first of all, before we get into the meat of this issue, because we've got a lot to talk about here about entrepreneurship, but let's talk a little bit about you, Jonathan. Give us your bio. Of course, we said you went to Hammond High School, but kind of talk about your formative years on up through today. Go for it.
Well, upon graduating Hammond High, like yourself, I joined the Air Force, spent 4 years in Europe, in Germany, Zweibrücken, Deutschland, which was a culturally much different experience than growing up in Hammond. Upon exiting the Air Force with an honorable discharge, I went to Indiana State University, completed my bachelor's degree in business management, moved to California, San Diego, to go to San Diego State University, and wound up working there full-time, dabbled in real estate, also worked for the university, worked for a parking company, got into the insurance business and securities business.